welcome back to Full Throttle TV. Today I'm going to show you how to change an alternator on a Toyota. First thing is, if you look down here, see a little knob right there? That's called a petcock. What you're going to do is you're going to take that loose until it starts draining. After, of course, you make sure your cap is loose or off, one or the other, and you're going to let that drain until it's empty. While that's draining, you can go ahead and do a couple things, such as take your negative cable off, because trust me, you will need to take it off. So what you do is you just take that loose and pop it off. Just that simple. And then come over here, way down there is the alternator. So what you're going to do is, down through there is a terminal right here and a plug back here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's way down there. It's right in here. You can go ahead and unhook these connections here while that's draining out. Alright, now that I have this off, I'll show you. These are the two connections on the back of the alternator. If you notice right here on the side of the large plug, there's a little push clip. Just push that in and pull it out. It's as simple as that. Working from above, you see way down in here, right here, there's a bolt. It's a 12mm bolt. What you do is, sorry if I'm out of frame at the moment, it's a little tight in here. Can't really get in there much. Alright, just taking cracker loose. And this one's alright to take all the way out, because the new alternator, you're going to have to put that in. So after you got it cracked loose, reach down in there and take it out. This is just to get you started. And while you're waiting for it to drain, once it's drained, you're going to move underneath. That's right, I said it, underneath the truck to change the alternator. But you're going to take this little guy out right here, because you're going to need that in your new alternator. I'll just go ahead and lay that right there on top of the valve cover for right now. Once it slows down to a slow drip, go ahead and pull the plug out the rest of the way. Tip number one, this is a fine time to test the condition of your head gasket just by examining your coolant here. Ours was put in 3 months ago on the teardown, which the head was not removed or the head gasket changed, just for a bit of information. But the first tip is you check out your antifreeze. It should have a nice neon green color to it, such as this. If you have little black spots floating around in it, that's usually motor oil, and that indicates that you might have a problem with your head gasket, which would mean you have to get it changed. We're not going to go into detail on how to do that. It's recommended that you take it to your nearest authorized service shop to get that fixed, because it will be needed to be done by a professional. However, you can see by ours there's no black spots floating around, which means it is clean. Moving underneath, we're going to take and remove this hose clamp right here. As you see, we moved our bucket over to this side. We're going to go ahead and position this, because we have to take this hose right here off the bottom of the engine. So we're just going to take this loose. So that way we can remove it and let it drain out. Because all you have to do is, tip number two, you don't have to completely remove this hose, just remove this end and move it out of the way, because we're going to have to take this alternator out through this hole up here where this hose lies. So we needed to take this loose, get the antifreeze out of this, and move it out of the way, so that way the alternator can come out. When you have animals such as we do, you want to make sure you catch as much antifreeze as you possibly can, even if that means taking and grabbing the hose and like shaking it out a little bit, because the less you get on the ground, the better. Antifreeze is extremely toxic to animals, so be sure to catch as much as you can. If you're going to change it, make sure you dispose of it properly, to out of the way of animals and so on and so forth. That way they do not get sick and die, so please be very mindful of what you do with the antifreeze. Once you have the antifreeze out of the way, we're going to have you go ahead and take out this bolt. Right here, there's a nut on the back side and one on the front. These are both 14 millimeter. So what you're going to do is go ahead and take those out. That's the pivot bolt that allows us to swing both left and right. So you can take the belt. Okay, once you get the belt tight, which should be about like that, go ahead and close the hose clamps up after you get the alternator on. Tip number 2, if you get a funnel that's a nice tight seal on your radiator, it'll aid you in the burping process. So we're going to go ahead and reconnect the ground, and then we're going to go ahead and pour our bucket of antifreeze in, and then we'll fire it up. Once you've poured all your antifreeze in, where your radiator's full, all this antifreeze came out of the truck, so it's got to go back in. So just go ahead and fill your funnel up and let the truck warm up, and it'll draw the antifreeze out of the funnel, and take and actually burp the system in the process. So nifty little trick to help you burp your system. That's why I said make sure you get a nice tight fitting funnel, and essentially it'll keep a reservoir up here to where the bubbles can work their way out and draw some more antifreeze in without you having to hold a jug.